Today we're reading books decided by my cat. I decided I wanted to do something fun for this TBR series where I try to finish my whole TBR, all the turnaround books like that. And I was like, why don't I let my cat decide what I read? So we're going to do just that. She's gonna pick 2 books for this video and we're gonna read those 2 books. She's gonna pick the genre and then a number and then we're gonna count on my shelves. Before I get my cat, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do it. I have these 4 tags with mystery, fantasy, romance, and other, because I mostly read fantasy, mystery, and romance, not really any other genres. And on the back I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if she chooses a genre, I'm gonna turn it around and she can choose a number and then we'll count on my bookshelf, because I only have 4 books in the other genre. So I decided to do it like this. This is fantasy, this is romance, this is other, and this is mystery. It's all set up behind me, so I'm gonna go and grab her real quick, because the moment she hears this thing, I know she will come running. Kom, je snapt het niet, I know. She probably doesn't already understand it. She's under the camera right now. You can see her too. Yes. Go and choose. We're gonna... Yes! Okay. She ate the romance one first. I'm gonna let her eat the other ones too. So we're gonna read romance. Okay, here. She chose the same card, so we're gonna read the first romance book I count. Yes! I'm gonna use my other bookshelf, because in the last few videos I only used that one. And this one has the most romance books, I believe, because I have a whole shelf dedicated to romance books over here. So we're just gonna look over here. There's a romance book over there too, but I'm not gonna count that one because we're gonna pick the first one and be a little bit lame to pick that one. We're just gonna look at which one comes first. I first have a Harry Potter shelf, so that's not it. Then I have this shelf with a few Sarah J Maas books, which is more fantasy, so we're not picking those 2. This one is also mostly fantasy. This one is romance, but I don't think that counts. This one's also more of a romantasy. So then we reach this shelf, and this shelf is mostly my romance books and my little vinyl, but I'll take it away. And I decided I'm gonna count from left to right as you read. And then the first one I come across is this one, and it's Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I'm not sure about this book right now because it's such a book you would read during the autumn. I'm reading it now, it feels so wrong, but well, it's summer. But let's go, we're gonna read Bride. Bride is a romance that follows Misery, a vampire who has to marry a werewolf to keep the peace between their species. But Misery has her own plans, and the only reason she's marrying this man is because she thinks he knows where her missing best friend is. So warm in my room because it's gonna be around 30 degrees today again, and I feel like I'm sweating already. But I have to film this video, so here we go. Bride. I finished it yesterday. I liked it, really liked it at first, and I thought it would be a 5-star, but it's not, and I feel a little bit confused, and then I started thinking about it and understand why. Okay, so they have kind of say slow burn because it takes place over a couple of months, I think, and it's cute. I like it. They had some moments where you could feel the tension, so the chemistry was definitely there. And then towards the ending, they were kind of already together and everything was resolved. And it was only 3 chapters, but for me, those last few chapters always decide if I'm going to give it a 5 star. Because if they drag on just a little too long, I'm going to get bored. And suddenly I don't like it. It's always the case with romance books because I don't like that they drag on with a 3rd act breakup. And this one does not really have a 3rd act break. It sort of does, actually. It has a sort of 3rd act breakup, not your typical 3rd act breakup. And that ruined it a little bit for me because it dragged on just a little bit too long and they had a whole, you know what I mean, scene added in extra, and I just didn't really care about it that much. For me now it's a 4-star. It could have been a 5-star, just cut it off a little bit earlier, but I always have this with books, so if you know me, I will only give it a 5-star. The ending is absolutely perfectly timed, and I know I'm critical, but it just affects my feelings. And I liked the concept of vampires and werewolves because I don't really read that. Don't attack me, but I never read Twilight. I'm really watching Vampire Diaries though with my boyfriend. I'm still on season 1. I don't watch it that often. Sometimes we just have a spree and we watch like 4 episodes in a row and then we don't watch it for weeks. And I like the concept of vampires and werewolves. Would I read it a lot? No, but I like liked it for the difference. Sometimes it's fun to just read something out of your comfort zone. It's mostly romance, but it also has a little bit of a mystery in there. Not your typical like who killed who mystery. You find this out on, I think, like the first page, so I can say this easily. Her best friend is missing, her best friend Serena, and she is looking for her. You want to know what happened to her, so I think that's a little fun part in your plot that just intrigues you as a person. And I really like that, so it's not just a romance, but it has a little piece of mystery. So I would recommend, but watch out, there are open door scenes in here if you don't like that. World's your oyster. Welke wordt het? It's actually crazy hot these past few days, so I made some sorbet ice cream. It's already melting, so nice. And I went to a curl hairdresser and it got cut yesterday, and there were still a little bit of waves in there because I have wavy hair, but I always don't know how to handle it. But I actually like it. And I'm gonna start a new book, but I actually picked up a different book and I'll mention it in the next video. I just had to grab a book real quick and I didn't want to film yet, so I was like, I grabbed that one. So there's a few days in between, but here we are. And most of my curtains are closed because it's unbelievably hot in here, so I'll go downstairs real quick. The other book we picked from that shelf, so I thought it would be fun to pick from this shelf, and I'm gonna go from left to right as I read. And if I remember correctly, it was a fantasy book and the second one. First off, we have this shelf, but on the shelf I only now read this book, and this book is a murder mystery thriller, more thriller I think, so that one doesn't count. Then over here I know I have a fantasy book. It's the first fantasy book, so that one doesn't count. And then the second one is this one, and I believe this is a fantasy, but I'm actually not really sure. But it takes place in Shanghai, but it has, I believe it has magical elements in it. So an urban fantasy. But I don't know. Is this a fantasy? It sure looks like a fantasy cover. There's a sword on it. I bought this one a while ago at a secondhand shop, so I'm not sure, but I believe it's a fantasy. But if I'm wrong, it's really stupid for this challenge. We're just gonna read it and we're gonna find it out. This is my fantasy, and in my head it's a fantasy because there's a sword in it. And I believe it's an urban fantasy, but I'm not sure. So let's just get to reading because I want to get out of this room real quick. Downstairs because it's way better with the heat over here. I looked it up on Goodreads and it says a fantasy, but we're just gonna start reading now. This book is great for me practicing my Mandarin because there are a lot of Chinese words in here. And I also found this really strange kind of bookmark in this book. I decided to do something I normally don't really do. I decided to DNF this one. I was 104 pages in and it just made me a little bit uncomfortable. I only ever DNF'd one book, and don't hate on me, but it was a Narnia book because I really couldn't get into it. It was, I think, the fourth book or something. Even though you can read it, I believe in any order, so it doesn't really matter. This book, it just made me feel highly uncomfortable. It had some, it's YA, but it didn't really feel like that. It had some things happening, and I normally don't really mind things that are graphic, but this one is not graphic in the same way other books I read are graphic. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to traumatize people who are like me. There are things happening and there's this sort of infection, and there are quite some scenes where it's really described how these bodies look, and it made me just really uncomfortable. And I was noticing I really disliked it because it was almost on every page body was tormented in a way. I don't like having the visual on every page how one's body is being, I cannot say it, but I think you know. So I DNF'd this one. Normally I don't do it because I'm like, I can push through it, but it's, I believe, around 500 pages. And 400 pages of something that makes me really uncomfortable. I just didn't want to dedicate to it. Maybe in a later point of my life I will read it. So I think the setup was interesting enough. I'm sorry to disappoint, but that's just gonna happen. I'm going to put it back on my shelves and place it in the way a red book is, and I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna sell it or not. If you want to, you can probably buy this one from me. At this point, this is just my standard thing to do, but I forgot to film an outro. Once again, I feel like I do this every video, I just forget it. Sometimes I forget to film an intro, but it's alright because here we are. around 2 weeks later, but it's okay. Today we read Bride and These Violent Delights, and I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully we'll find a read that I don't DNF, because I never do that and it was just really bad luck, but I'm holding this book really weird. See you in the next video.